Thank you so much for coming to the session to talk about building and scaling unstoppable marketing teams. I am Holly Chen and really excited to be at Demand 2022. A few words about me. I started my career in management consulting. I spent a few years working at small startups and big companies. I spent some time at Slack and Google. I saw Slack from 100 million to 700 million going public, and Google at both the Google Ads team, which is quite big, as well as a Google Store team as the first marketing person, and build the team from there. As an advisor in the past couple of years, I worked with the team at Loom, Miro, ServiceNow, and also have created a group leadership coaching program called Ceiling Breakers for underrepresented managers in tech. Most recently started at a Series B company, Mosaic, as a VP of marketing. So I have seen a lot of teams to grow from, the 3-4 person team all the way to 100,000 size companies. So today I want to share some of the learnings I've seen in building teams, especially when it comes to how to think about team structure and organization, which is one of the most frequent questions I get when I advise companies and founders. So today we're going to talk about first the early stage marketing and growth teams. I get this question a lot. How do I build a marketing team? How do I build a growth team? Are they the same? And how do they interact with each other? So I'm going to touch upon that. Growth stage teams is very different from early stage teams. It's more complex. There could be more factors like regions or different business models that will impact your team structure. So I'll cover those. And finally, how to lead an unstoppable team as a leader, some of the leadership principles that would help you to lead those teams. So first, I will start with early stage marketing and growth teams. And one of the most frequent questions I get is, how do you think about your first marketing hire? Who should you hire? What kind of skill sets would you optimize for? So the goal for the first marketing hire is to find product market fit. And there are two major buckets of things that your first marketing hire needs to tackle. One is the what and the who, which is what is the product and who cares about it. So positioning and messaging encompasses this piece of work, which is how do we position our product in the marketplace and how do we say about it? And then the how part of finding the product market fit is a lot of growth foundation. What kind of channels should we think about acquiring our users, and how do we get there? What are the systems we need to set in place? So in terms of what the first marketing hire should do before launch would be things like user research, market research, competitive intelligence. You will think about the brand story that you want to tell to the world. Do you want to create a new category? And what does that look like? And crafting what kind of messaging you want to target your audience in ICP. You would build your website, especially for pre-launch. Do you want to do waitlist strategy? How do you launch? So that launch plan is a very big part of what this first marketing hire should do. And post-launch, you would refine all these things we just talked about, the pre-launch tasks, and also switch over to really focus on user acquisition, getting customers in the door. And some of the most frequently used channels are content marketing, SEO, really making sure your website is converting the right users, you're sending email or like managing your customers in a CRM, and of course, measurement and reporting of the marketing effectiveness. So these are the major tasks that your first marketing hire should do. And here are three major options that you can consider as your first marketing hire. So first is product marketing. Second is growth marketing. And third is head of marketing, right? These are the major choices that you can make. Who should you hire as your first marketing hire? My recommendation is really think about the criteria and the type of people you want to optimize for. So for the product marketing manager and growth marketing manager, I would recommend finding someone who's mid-career, who have around 5 years experience, plus or minus 3 to 7. They have been a manager or senior manager at other places that has similar business model. So if you're a SaaS company versus a e-commerce company, ideally you can find someone who have worked in a similar business model before, and even better, similar audience, right? If you are a MarTech tool versus a financial services tool, and the audience and how they respond and the channels are very different. So find someone who really understand the audience would be ideal. Early stage experience is really important. I want to call out. There are a lot of people with great credentials who have worked big companies, the Facebook and the Google or the Oracles of the world, but find it really hard to adjust to our early stage environment, especially as the first marketing hire. This person will have to be the generalist, will have to do a lots of things that are not traditionally very detailed, not traditionally done at bigger companies. Your task is more detailed and you rely on a lot of resources to get things done. When you hire your first marketing hire, it's not an automatic thing if they've only been at big companies. You want to hear that they have done some entrepreneurial pursuits, either a side project or something that they started on their own, so that they are hands-on in doing the tasks that you need them to do. So I would recommend a generalist for product marketing, someone who has done user research, who has done market research, who can actually write content. I call out a good writer is a big one for your first marketing hire, because you will write a lot of things, including your website copy, including your first call deck for a sales team, sales enablement materials, your content strategy blog post. This first marketing hire would do a lot of that. It is important to find someone who's a self-starter, who's curious, and who's really a hustler to do a lot of these things. Doesn't have to be perfect in any of the disciplines, but they can run some first experiments. For growth marketing manager option, what I just mentioned about mid-career manager, similar model, early stage experience, and being generalist is the same as the product marketing manager. Growth is such a vast discipline, and you can hire someone who spike on paid media, or you can find someone who spike on website conversion optimization, and you can find someone who spike on SEO. So my recommendation is think about someone who spike on website and SEO, because those are the channels that you're gonna first focus on optimizing for, especially if you are product market fit, or really early scrappy and don't have a lot of budget to spend. You may not hit a paid media channel that fast, especially as the first marketing hire. So your organic channels and viral channels is going to be the majority of this first growth marketing hire does. So find someone who has that spike of experience. And this person will run experiments and find which channel will work best for you. And they can set up the systems, set up the channels and the account, and run from there. And once you can find a channel that really works for you, and you can actually hire specialists to really take that channel into the next level. The third option I heard a lot about is, should I just hire a head of marketing as my first marketing hire, and that person can take care of everything? That is also a viable option. What's really important for this hire is you want them to have similar business model or audience experience. You want to make sure they have early stage experience, right? Similar to what I said before, some of the more seasoned MO folks, they have been managing managing people to do a lot of the day-to-day tasks. They're very far away from the execution, and sometimes they do need a lot of support to get things going. So you want to find the type of almost like a step up or senior director at other places. They're still scrappy and they can still roll out the sleeves to do a lot of the execution while they hire their team. I would recommend actually consider someone who has worked somewhere 2 years ahead of you. If you are C stage, find someone who's worked at Series A stage companies that's similar to you. And if you're Series A, find someone who has been through that journey from A to B so that they can have that advanced vision of what your company would need. So all of those are good options. If you have to pick, it really depends on your funding situation as well, like how much budget you have to hire like a really senior marketing leader to build a team. Because if you hire a head of marketing that's very senior, and the first thing they do would be building the team, and it will be a while before you actually see some campaigns in market versus a product marketing or a growth marketing manager. If they're mid-career, they can set up something really quickly. But at the same time, it could lack some of the strategic vision and building the foundation. So there's definitely pros and cons in any of these options. If I have to choose, my recommendation would be find a product marketing manager, because the foundational research of the users, the market, the positioning, and actually writing the copies of your messaging and your website is going to be the first thing you do. Of course, as a co-founder, one of your co-founders probably have been serving this role before, but having help is really going to scale your efforts. All right. In terms of the reporting structure, you can have this person report directly to the CEO, or you can have the individual experts report into individual functions, but then they sit together, they work together as a pod. And then next, we're going to talk about the growth stage marketing teams. Some like the key functions for a growth stage marketing team are, like, in my mind, three big buckets. One is brand and comms, and that function looks after how do we communicate our brand story, both internally and externally? How do we actually create the right assets and brand look and feel to communicate that brand? Social media and community I consider as part of this, because they really think about how to engage in the conversation with your ICPs. Some people think about content marketing and copywriting also sit into the brand and comms. Sometimes they sit under product marketing. So it really depends on the type of companies and existing team structure. Product marketing works on positioning, messaging, launches, competitive intel, sales enablement, pricing, packaging, and customer marketing. And these are the tasks that the product marketing person will do. And at growth stage, I typically see a core PMM works on the core product and functionalities. And then sometimes you would want to have a dedicated person to work with the sales team to really focus on the thought leadership and sales enablement materials as you will grow bigger. For growth marketing, SEO, website, and paid marketing and lifecycle are the four big buckets for growth marketing. And sometimes for bigger scaled ups, integrated marketing is a good function to have. And that person will oversee all of the channels as well as coordinating cross-functional partners, including design and data and engineering and product to make sure your campaigns are coordinated. Events, product marketing, events, partner marketing ops, and SDRs are all potential functions that you can put into growth marketing. There's several versions of the marketing org. One is a simplified version, which is product marketing and growth marketing will be the two major functions that report directly to the head of marketing. In other organizations, this can expand pretty significantly, right? You can elevate some of these functions into a director level that reports into the head of marketing. And if you grow even bigger, so an example is, PLG company, you have your self-serve functions, and then you have your enterprise functions. So how do you think about structuring a marketing org? What I've seen being really effective is you have your core marketing functions like product marketing, content marketing, growth marketing, and design as the central core team, core functions, and then they support both self-serve and enterprise. As you will grow bigger, you may want to have separate teams that support both business units. And then for international, you may want to have an individual regional head of marketing to manage like all the channels and initiatives within a region. And then over time, build out that regional team to also have their own, for example, designers or event marketing team to support your scale ups. So this can become this matrix organization that becomes pretty complex over time. We talk through the marketing and growth orgs and in the growth pod type of organization. And we can also have a head of growth that manage all of the growth functions in a growth org. We can also have a hybrid model where the growth marketing and growth product person report into the head of growth, while the supporting functions of growth engineering, design, and analysts report into their individual functions. Okay, we're a bit short on time, and I will talk a little bit about the philosophies and important principles to keep in mind to lead an unstoppable marketing team. Empathy is really listen to what the team need and create that environment where and like listen attentively to the other person. Mindfulness to me means not only paying attention and being present, but also be mindful of feelings and emotions that comes up in interactions. And sometimes in work environment, we think emotions are not important or doesn't have a place, but emotions are really great signals to understand what motivate people and they're signals to prevent the team from going down a spiral. Play is an important principle. We like when people are feeling light and playful, they're more creative, especially for the marketing team. So play is an important element that I often forget and want to call out. Being open, curious, and committed to learning really talks about this concept of above the line, below the line. If you're above the line in the interaction, you want to listen. You are curious about the other person's perspective. And if you're below the line, you're closed and defensive and wanting to be right. And that is not very conducive to the conversation. And bring your whole self to work is something I believe very strongly in. I used to think you want to have a work persona and a personal persona, wanted to project this image of I'm competent, I know everything, I got this. And really, we're all humans, especially with the pandemic, and it become more and more evident that work and life is blended. And bring our whole self to work and be seen at work will create that level of psychological safety that helps the team to really perform. Enough is something that I find really helpful to keep in mind is we're all running so fast and wanting to go to the next thing, and the abundance mindset of okay, I'm enough and I don't have to ask for as many things as possible, or I don't have to really grab things, accumulate my Legos, and there's always seeing things to work on and giving away the Legos, and especially as the team grows, an important principle to keep in mind. And finally, radical responsibility, right? It's easy to say, oh, someone else made a mistake, or this is how we've always been doing, or this is not my decision, hence I'm just going along with it. The principle of radical responsibility really helps the team to take accountability in at work. So this principle of what I call an empower leadership principles really help me to keep in mind and be mindful as the day-to-day stress and challenge comes up. And finally, I want to share some resources for leadership and for you to continue to learn. Conscious Leadership Group is a really good resource. And also, working with a coach, find communities and listen to Gong. If there's a leader within your organization you really admire, listen to their Gong calls and see how they interact and how they talk to the customers and partners and really learn from their day to day. All right. So this is all I have. And thank you everyone for your attention out of your very busy day and hope you have a great rest of Demand 2022.